Hey, what's going on, everybody? Sinful Duck here, and today is the start of the 5.4 arena season. So I want to take a few minutes and just go through a couple of builds with you guys. A lot of people have been asking me for a talent guide for 5.4, so let's do it. I've got a few different builds actually that I'm going to show you guys. Some are good for some situations and some are better for others, but I'll show them all to you, tell you what I think they're the best for, and kind of let you make your own decision on what you want to do. So let's go ahead and get into it here. For those of you who are looking for a highly mobile, high pressure type of spec, this is going to be the one for you guys. This is just your basic proc spec that we've had since the beginning of Mists, and not much has changed about it. You can kind of change a few of the talents based on what you prefer, but the main keys to this spec are going to be From Darkness Comes Light and Divine Insight. You're going to want to use those in conjunction with your dots to gain procs and therefore do damage. So you can use this in Arena, you can use this in Battlegrounds. It's going to really shine in Battlegrounds though, where you're allowed to be mobile and you have a lot of targets that you can dot up. The more targets that you dot, the more procs you get, the more damage you do. So this is going to be great for those BGs. It's also great for those of you who want to stay mobile in arenas. The second spec I want to show you guys is kind of my go-to. This is great for anything, really. I've used it for Arena, I've used it for Battlegrounds, I've used it for dueling, and it really shines in any of them. And this is my Insanity spec. Now again, you can switch out a lot of the talents based on what you prefer, but the main keys here is going to be Insanity and Power Infusion. Now, setting it up with Power Infusion is going to give it the biggest burst potential possible. There's no way around it. Power Infusion gives you massive burst with Insanity. Now, the downside of this is that it is going to take you a little while to build up your orbs. So if you aren't satisfied with Power Infusion because you don't want to wait for those orbs, you can swap it out for Divine Insight. It's going to allow you to throw out Devouring Plague and Insanity more often, but it's not going to do as much damage. So you're not going to have that huge on-demand burst. So keep that in mind, but this is the way I like to run it, is with Insanity and Power Infusion. You can switch it for Divine Insight if you want to. It's just going to be up to you and your playstyle. This last spec was actually recommended to me by a guildie of mine whose name is Karasaki. I play with him pretty often. He hangs out in the stream all the time. I'm sure some of you guys may even know him if you've hung around the stream. But when 5.4 first started last week, he came to me and gave me this build, and he said, "You really got to try this. Twist of Fate got buffed, and it's a lot of fun now." So I didn't really want to try it, but I was like, you know, nothing to lose, might as well give it a shot. I ended up trying it out, and I really enjoyed it. What you do with it is you've got From Darkness Comes Light, so that you're still mobile. I wouldn't recommend doing it with Insanity because you don't want to stand still too long. From Darkness Comes Light really works well with Twist of Fate. And what you want to do is you want to dot as many targets as you can in a battleground. This build is only great for battlegrounds. I wouldn't really try it too much in Arena. It can be used in duels, but it really shines in battlegrounds. So what you want to do is you want to get your dots out on as many targets as possible. You also want to make sure that you have Prayer Amending and Renew ticking on multiple targets as often as possible. Anytime that someone drops below 30% health, if Renew, Prayer Mending, or any of your dots tick on them, you're gonna get a proc from Twist of Fate. The good thing with Twist of Fate is that there's no internal cooldown on it. It will keep refreshing over and over and over. So you can have that buff up for a very long time. And the way it works is you get that buff at 35%, whether it's you that's at 35% or somebody that had one of your spells tick on them. And the one thing that it's really great for is if you're fighting somebody, they get to 35% and you get that buff, it's really going to help you close that gap between 35% and getting them down to 20% where you can use your Shadow Word Death to finish them off. So it works really well for that, and it's a lot of fun, guys. It's a lot of fun. If you get yourself in trouble, you can heal yourself up really quickly with it. It's just a lot of fun to play, but again, I don't think it's going to be a very competitive type spec, so be careful with it, have fun, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Okay, now moving on to the glyphs. So for the first two builds, for the proc spec and for the insanity build, I pretty much use the exact same glyphs. Number one, I'm always going to be using Inner Sanctum. With the change to Shadow Form this patch and not having that spell reduction, you're really going to want the 6% spell damage reduction that Inner Sanctum is going to give you. So I think Inner Sanctum has become an absolute must for Shadow Priest in PvP this season. So make sure you have that one on first. Second, for me, at least for right now, is going to be Renew. The reason why, and you can switch this with Renew or Prayer Mending, however you want to do it, but the reason I do this is because with the change to Battle Fatigue this patch, our Renew does not tick very hard at all. Using this glyph gets it back to where I think it should be, so use that. It really helps out your defensive play and will help keep you alive a lot longer. The third glyph is kind of interchangeable, but my number one pick for the third glyph is going to be Glyph of Fade. I just like having that on use 10% damage reduction. It's huge in any situation, whether you're in a duel, battleground, arena, doesn't matter. That 10% can be huge, and that can turn the tide of a game right there. It's saved me many times, got me out of a lot of bad situations. So you can use Fade, or you can switch it to another glyph. I would recommend something like Prayer Mending to take that spot, so you have both of the healing glyphs. Or if you're feeling up to it, you can swap that out for something like Glyph of Reflective Shield. That got a buff this patch as well, and it works really well. Now, for the Twist of Fate spec, I would recommend using this same build, but I would use Glyph of Reflective Shield. Glyph of Reflective Shield, like I said, it got a buff this patch, and Twist of Fate actually increases the amount that it can reflect, which is huge. I've had warriors who have hit me, and that glyph can actually crit. So I've had warriors hit me and crit themselves for almost 200k, which is ridiculous. And I've had a lot of people who see me bubble and they just walk away because they don't know if I have the glyph, and they're scared because that hits hard. So for Twist of Fate build, I would recommend Inner Sanctum, Renew, and Reflective Shield. Well guys, that's going to about do it. Hopefully these builds have given you something to think about, gave you some ideas as to how you want to set up your priest for this season. If you guys have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments down below. Please give this video a thumbs up if it helped, or if you just enjoyed it, or if you just want to help me out. Thumbs up, a like always helps, so please do that, and that's all I got. Until next time guys, take it easy.